where does this come from and why? These are real questions, and we cannot prove it.
If we don't know,
with
if we don't know, is it really evidence?
No, we don't. Really, but no, there is evidence. Yes, if we. Okay, what?
If we don't know the answers to these questions, can we use these questions as evidence?
It's not evidence per se, but it is. It is evidence that we're conscious.
Is consciousness evidence?
What is consciousness?
If we don't know, is it? Does that make it evidence?
I mean, to me, it's evidence.
Why?
Because we're speaking now and talking about these concepts.
I understand.
I think, therefore, I am.
It's very mysterious.
It's the mysteries.
Is a mystery evidence?
No.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
What my next question would be, how about this?
Sure.
I'm actually really happy that we just took a 2-hour break. I think
it was
great
getting a
because it
little
helps us-
overwhelming.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, just
yeah, it does that.
and we're not even digging into stuff like.
Because we're thinking about the way we're not saying anything really. Well, like in the beginning, we talked about specific things, right? And then this survey is about generally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might want to do that.
I'm going to put this away. Sorry.
Sure. You gotta make sure you respond though, because you just sold a car or something. So follow through.
That's what's going on. Meeting home at 1. Warning. Let's do a 20-minute warning. And you need. When do you need to leave first?
I need to like
get ready.
8:15
or when you need to get ready. When you do your.
I can be ready really fast. So just say 8:15.
So 8:15 for sure. We're done.
For sure at 8:30. Like cannot go past 8:30.
So let's just say 8, because that will give us a solid hour and 53 minutes from this moment.
Great. Sounds good.
Plenty.
I think I can get done what I would like to accomplish.
Set my alarm for 8 p.m.
I set an alarm for 8 p.m.
Perfect.
On that note, Android people are nuts.
How confident are you about that?
I'm very confident because I just used Android for a year and a half after my iPhone got stolen by Mexican cops. And I cannot stand Android devices.
So really quick about that. If somebody believed that Android was the best.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah, we're recording now.
Erase this part.
No.
Just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
This is part of it. If somebody thought that Android was absolutely the best and was more efficient at getting done what they wanted to get done, but they didn't know how to slide on the scale of confidence that some other phone might be better, would you say that person's open-minded?
No.
Okay.
Because they're not open-minded to even figure it out.
Yeah.
And I personally tried both devices in depth and learned the other one very well I can't stand that.
So
Can't stand it.
criteria to shift to boost you in confidence would be, it seems, like a user experience that vastly improved from what it is now, and then if it happened to exceed in ways that you would prefer, that would be the thing that would slide you on the scale. The criteria. And the important thing is you would have criteria, meaning principles, by which
I love that word.
Principles by which you would judge a thing to slide on your scale of confidence about that thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you consider that criteria in general, no matter what the belief is important to know about if you wish to be open-minded? That's a question, sorry. The inflection of my voice didn't end at the end. But
probably say, I have a question. And
I have a question.
Pose it a question and I can actually ponder it that way. It's just hard for me.
Yeah, my questions are sometimes like all scrambled up.
Multidimensional.
Multidimensional questions.
So start the over.
Yeah, start again. Okay. Would you say it's important to have principles or criteria by which you would judge an idea on our scale of confidence?
Yeah.
About anything.
Yeah. It's important to have principles and...
Well, it's important to imagine the criteria it would take to slide you on your scale, or else if somebody didn't have criteria, would they be open to slide on the scale? If they didn't know how to go up or down, and they didn't know what it being the case or not being the case would even be, is it capable? Can that person be open-minded? Is it possible?
Sure. I just think there's ignorance.
Or is that the thing? Is that the thing that makes someone open-minded? The fact that they know how to slide on their scale? Or am I overly simplistically describing an open mind? It could be.
I feel like we could talk about this for a long time.
That's the whole point of the workshop. What are the characteristics of an open mind?
I think the characteristics of a mind, yeah. So, I think being ignorant doesn't allow you to have an open mind. So I think being open-minded to...
If you're ignorant of a thing... Okay, well, let me put it like this.
But you're willing to change means you're still open-minded. I don't know.
Would you rather be ignorant of a thing or believe positively in something false? In general. This may be an unfair question, I'm not really sure. But
on many things.
Totally. Would you rather be ignorant about a thing or positively believe the same thing but in a false way? Would you rather... Which one's better? The ignorance is better than being wrong.
So and of course...
all I'm asking
the ignorance is bliss is a real thing. I mean, there was times when I was ignorant in things in life, and when you discover more in life, you all of a sudden you're like, ooh, okay, I gotta like reevaluate, and ooh, man, my behaviors or my actions weren't quite aligned to positivity. Now I need to readjust my behaviors and thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got that point. Okay, so this section is when we should believe. The time to accept a thing as true, and it's probably the hardest portion on the survey. The easiest portion is the end, which is actually what we started with, which is when we should change our minds. So this portion is when we should believe in things. So, and I gave this to you a little bit while we were eating just now in silence, kind of thinking about questions. By the way, before I go into this and dive into this, do you have any questions for me yet?
No, you asked me, but I don't. I've been distracted, and I'm
focused on this instead of thinking of questions. Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. It takes like all our mental effort to think about a lot of these things.
Well, then I'm also
especially abstractly.
I'm pondering things, and then I'm like, want to say stuff, and I'm like, okay, wait, that's just a distraction.
Right. That's good. It's good not to be on tangents. That's good. Because that's easy to do with this. You know how many times the Matrix comes up when we talk about this?
Really?
In my conversations? Oh yeah, people are I love the Matrix though, so I don't have no problem talking about it. Or talking about Avengers, sometimes like the Time Stone, how that would change what's true, and How time works, that comes up a lot. Yeah, movies can be helpful because they're we're familiar with them, and we have these ideas that we've formed from the movies we've seen throughout our life, and we judge how a movie is good or bad based off of how real it seems to us or unreal it seems.
And they've replaced stories that for forever has been our movies. Our stories and our histories have been passed on verbally and then finally writing, and now we are having stories, and that's what forms our point of view in the world. And it gives us ideas. It makes us challenge the status quo, and it helps us with creation. The artistic creation abilities of humans get opened up more of the possibilities of new and greater things because we have these stories and we have these movies. Like, what if we were able to communicate around the world with a device, and then it becomes reality?
Can you speak up a little? You just
like it's the cell phone, Star Trek and all those things. Like doo-doo, and they're talking to some spaceship floating in space. That's absolutely true right now, and it was totally sci-fi 50 years ago. And so I think applies to these stories and movies that helps us see the world differently, and it helps us discover new possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the hardest part of the survey. I'm just going to dive in here, and so it looks like while we were sitting in silence, we have you ran an errand, came back, and we may have shifted on number 13.
I think so.
So
I think so. Read it again.
Believing something without evidence is admirable.
And I was like, before I was like, not really admirable.
No.
And now I'm saying it's not admirable.
Now you're saying it's not.
Yeah.
Before, when you were thinking that, was there something in your mind that you can think of that you do believe without any evidence at all?
There's things that I believe. Yeah, there's plenty of things that I believe with no evidence.
If you discovered that one of if beliefs were held together by like glue, and you discovered that all the things that were keeping a belief in your mind together was held together by an assortment of things, but not one of them was evidence, would you separate that belief out of your mind and discard the belief? Would the belief hold together, or would you, if you reflected on a belief that you had and discovered that there was no evidence whatsoever holding it together, would you discard the belief?
I guess it depends on how you define evidence, because sometimes evidence comes from within.
Ah, okay. If you found, hypothetically, that what you would consider to be evidence wasn't there,
yes,
would you then let go of the belief? Okay. So it depends then on what the evidence is and how good that evidence is. However, you would, it sounds like, because you want to know things that are true, and you are comfortable with changing your mind, it seems, and you are comfortable with saying you don't know, things like that. But if you found an idea that was in your head that's not the case, or that was predicated on other things other than what you would consider to be reasonable evidence, you would let go of that idea.
Of course.
Okay.
And I think a lot of this has to do with my belief that there's a lot of knowledge that we have no idea about. And that's what's exciting, is that we keep accumulating more knowledge, we keep discovering lost knowledge, and all these things are doing two things. They're reinforcing my belief system, and they're also reinventing my belief system.
Reinventing your belief system? What is reinforcing your belief system?
A lot of new discoveries of advanced ancient civilizations, these monolithic...
evidence of these
evidence
things. Okay.
Of world civilization. Evidence now. That before was in denial by the archaeologists that we have all were raised to learn, and now we're unearthing ancient temples that are for sure being dated at 12,500 years ago, and they're matching up with a lot of the buildings that were built that are the Egyptians built on top of, that the Incas built on top of. And so these things are now reinforcing my belief that I had before, that we have been humans, been intelligent, inventive humans for many more thousands of years than what we had been believed or have been taught to believe in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so these things now to me are doing two things for me. They're reinventing my beliefs, but they're also reinforcing my possibility that...
So you would accept new evidence, is what I'm hearing.
I always accept new evidence.
Would the opposite also be just as true for you?
Yes.
So in other words, if you discovered that the evidence that you had wasn't really evidence at all, or wasn't good evidence, you would say, "Oh, shoot, I was holding on to an idea that might not be true." And if it's if it might not be true, you would want to. You would not think of it as admirable to keep holding on. Right?
It wouldn't be admirable. It'd be. I don't know the word.
Yeah, we can move on to another one. I just wanted to hit that one really quick.
I don't want to say a word that's like offensive, like ignorant or stupid, but I don't mean that. But it's not admirable. But I'm sure there's a word I could use. I just don't have it in my toolbox to define what that would be.
It depends, I suppose, on what the idea is and why we're holding on to it.
And also if it's causing violence.
Sometimes I can see people holding on to an idea not because they're stupid at all.
No, I know very intelligent people.
But maybe because they find it comforting. Or maybe they find it...
and I think that's
there's other motivating factors other than one's intelligence that has somebody hold on to a belief. Which is why
you nailed it right there, is the comfort. And that's why people hold on to these beliefs. And that's okay to have this faith and hope in the unseen, in the future eternal, because it gives you a sense of peace that there may be some type of reason or purpose or design that we're all here in this mortal existence. And it's okay to allow people to have that, even though it might not be based on evidence and fact.
Okay. I think I understand you. I'm ready to move on. How about you? Yeah. All right. Number 14. It is important to know where we came from and what happens after death.
No.
Okay.
It's not at all. I think it's silly to believe that.
You think it's silly?
That's silly. Because if the eternity, if there is this omnipotent, omnipresent creator that is supposedly our father, our spiritual father and our creator, and if that really is true, then we would be unconditionally loved. So a belief in this, in having to do physical rites and incantations and what am I trying to say? What's the word? You're trying to actually, you have to do this and this and this to then have your eternal spirit go back to heaven forever. Okay. That's silly. It's ridiculous. To be a good person and doing all these things to prove yourself to yourself and your family and your God to actually attain heaven or whatever you want to define it, I think is really silly, and it's because of I grew up with that mindset that you have to do certain rites, you have to behave like the behavior is the point, but having to actually be stuck in a box and not discover your own individuality and understand that these paths to be good people isn't going to require you to have to do certain things or pay percentages of your income or it's just
so
I'm
with this one here it says it is important to know where we came from also. So do you think it's important to know if evolution happened to be true? Would that be important to know?
See, I'm thinking things because
this is multifaceted, so that's why there's so many different ways to break this one down.
My thought process and my point of view well, because we've been talking about a lot of this, like the God subject. And so, of course, that made me go straight into it. So, yes, is it important to know that that is a possibility about the evolution and all the things? Yeah, but that doesn't discount the belief in the design of it all. At all and whatsoever.
Yeah,
but I think it's very important.
So we're not talking about.
But I think it's very important for us to actually look into where our genetics came from and how it all developed.
Okay,
that's
what we're talking about.
The big picture.
We're just asking whether or not it's important.
It is important because that's science. That's actual facts that we can measure and we can breed gnats.
Oh, I see.
And
That's
mice.
brilliant. So it's if we discover attainable and reliable information that gives us some knowledge, it's important to know it. But not beyond that. Is that what you're saying? So in other words, if it's not justified to assume things about what happened before us or what will happen after, but it's good to know things within our realm of perception and our ability to attain knowledge within about these things are important, but beyond our ability to attain knowledge about where we came from or what happens after death is not acceptable to you. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I'm lost.
My goal is to understand you in a way you agree I understand you. So let me try again. You want to know true things about where we came from. And what
when you say
after
where
death.
we came from, what do you mean? Where we came from? What does that mean to you?
I suppose any. So this is an
abstract.
abstract. This is an abstract. All things about
So
the universe, humans, of evolution. If a thing happens to be true, it's important to know it, and if there's no way to know it, you wouldn't want to assume it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Sure.
All right. Cool. I think we're in full agreement. I feel like you can be anywhere on the scale and say those things. Really? It sounds because you could be objecting here and disagreeing to other people's idea about what happens to us after death. But what if we switched it? And instead of talking about us, we talk about the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is it important to know what happens to the world after we're dead?
Well, I think that helps guide our actions in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Yeah. You care about the world that goes on after you're not here?
Of course.
Great.
Well, I think that's one reason why it is a positive thing to have children, even though I'm choosing at the moment not to have children, but I have family. So it is very important to me that my nieces and nephews have a future and that their children, my family that will continue, my genetics, my blood, my tribe, and even yours and my friends and my family, my chosen family, have a good bright future. So we need to make good choices to have clean water and air and figure our shit out and not stop blowing.
Microphone's right here, by the way.
That's probably thumping.
Yeah.
So so we don't want to blow each other up, and we want to be kind to each other and find a good path for a bright future. So it is important. And where we come from, that's a multifaceted question. Where we come from genetically, physically, where this universe comes from physically, scientifically, but also where it comes from possibly from a source.
Could you do me a favor
knowledge.
and mark yourself on here if it's moved, and if it hasn't moved, that's fine. This one here.
It is important to know where we came from
and what happens after death.
So
you don't need a shift. I'm just asking you if...
So now I'm agreeing with that.
In all ways...
But I don't. No, it's both.
Neutral
Weird.
then? You can say neutral?
No, it's like I strongly agree and I strongly disagree.
I would say...
It just depends on how you see it.
Exactly. Would you then think that you're neutral of the statement? You can just circle both?
Because it is...
We can mark this however we damn well please, Abram. So
it is a point of reference.
Yeah.
And what specifically you're talking about.
Okay.
And how I agree or disagree with that question.
So you're both. Agree and disagree, depending on how we're phrasing it.
But because we've talked about this,
I think that's acceptable.
See it in a different way. Yeah. Because I was only seeing it through one prism, and now I'm seeing it through an open like possibilities. Now it's like a big question instead of a specific question.
That's cool. Thanks, man. All right. Yeah.
Is that different? I mean, I don't know.
No, that's great. I love it.
I love it, and it's great too. But it's,
I think that's my favorite talk on that point ever. Number 14. with anyone. And I've done this like 200 times.
Cool.
So
I mean, I don't.
sometimes I get people
That was
that totally
fascinating as
don't.
well.
Yeah, there's sometimes people. Yeah, that was great. Let's move on to number 15, if you're cool with that. Yeah. Or do you have anything else to say on it?
No,
Okay.
we did that one. That one was cool.
We did that one. Number 15. Believing something that is false is okay if it brings you comfort.
As long as it doesn't hurt other people.
What was that?
As long as it doesn't hurt
Other
others.
people. Yeah, so if it doesn't involve harm.
Yes, I think it's okay.
If, if somebody else, so this is what's called the outsider test. It's a thought experiment. It's about applying a principle that we're using to someone else and seeing if we are doing the same thing. So imagine someone else comes into our conversation and they sit on that love seat over there and they're just like believing in something that you and I do not like. I know you to be the type of person to stand up to bullshit. I've seen you do it a lot.
No,
So let's not go on a tirade about that. Because
Yeah,
I know
no,
you could
yeah.
go on. But imagine somebody comes here and they've got some idea in their head we wish to resolve. And it's a dispute right now. There's a dispute.
That happens.
Okay. However, their conclusion that we don't like has been attained because it brings them comfort. And not at all because it's true. How would we go about resolving our difference?
Sometimes I don't think you need to resolve the difference.
Let's say, yes, and I would agree, tolerating people who are heinous is something that we should aspire to do in a free country. This is America.
Yeah. I get to choose to not be around them, and
Totally.
we don't get to throw each other in prison or hurt each other.
So this is an abstract thought experiment.
Okay.
Imagine it is important for us. Let's say it's important
Okay. I follow.
and we want to resolve our dispute. Is there any way to do it? If their claim is hinging on what's comfortable and not what's true?
Well,
Is there
it just
any way
depends
at
if
all?
they're open-minded, no. I mean, if they're open-minded and they're stubborn, then there isn't a way.
There's no
Because
way
some
to
people
resolve.
just
There's no way to
some people
resolve
don't
it.
have the capacity.
So does that
for-
mean there's a misunderstanding forever because this person has a principle that says it's okay to believe in things that are false if it brings them comfort?
I don't have the answers to everything, but I do know that
For
we
sure.
we're not going to really change
So
people's
we don't
minds.
want to just shout facts at them. As a matter of fact,
That's not going to work.
right? Absolutely,
It's going to piss
facts
them off,
don't work
and it's
at
going to
all.
shut them off.
Totally.
So you can't just keep asking questions or challenging someone, whether if you believe they're irrational, and once they have an emotional reaction, their logic brain turns off and their animal brain turns on, and they're going to be in defensive mode and have that fight or fight, and their stress hormones spike, and you're not going to be able to communicate with them. Yeah, that said it.
Would you want someone else to say this statement? Believing something that is false is okay if it brings me comfort.
I'm okay with that.
Even
Okay,
if...
maybe say that one more time.
Would you want someone else to say it?
What I want someone else to say.
Believing something that is false is okay if it brings me comfort. Would you, if somebody else
Say
was
it.
saying that?
Like they were them. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm trying to like.
I'm saying it like I was them.
I'm-
Believing something
I
that is
believe- I
false
believe-
is
I
okay if
believe-
it brings me
This is what I
comfort.
believe in, and it gives me comfort. Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Imagine now there's a dispute.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say this dispute is dire.
So
Is
it
there
causes
any
harm.
hope? Is there any hope at all to reach this person?
Well, yes, of course there's hope.
To resolve the difference?
There's hope.
How would you do it?
Well, I don't know.
Can you resolve a difference if...
Maybe. But that's why we have... that's why there's consequences for people's actions. And so if they're doing something that's causing harm, then there's a consequence. And if you can't resolve it, well, then that's maybe one reason why we have this horrible prison state that we're in. And we're in a police state. And so there's too much of an unresolved disputes. And we're not, instead of discussing it or allowing people to
Okay.
be free,
So-
or throwing people in jail, or people are hurting each other.
Okay, so running with that example, if I were a person who believed that people who have been caught with marijuana possession should serve life sentences because it's the worst thing ever.
Then people-
Can you
people
imagine?
think that's
Can you
it.
imagine someone's out there thinking that right
No,
now?
people do, and people are spending people spending years and years because of nonviolent
Injustice,
crimes, and it's absolutely wrong.
Injustice and violence and harm is being caused, by that thing. But this person thinks it's important to know, thinks that believing they go into jail for a life sentence is okay because it makes them comfortable.
Well, that's wrong.
Okay.
How do we prove it?
How would you reach that person ever?
Well, let me tell you an example.
Okay.
My grandfather, when marijuana was becoming legal, was like, "Oh, I'm really concerned about these dopers driving around." And da, da, da. I'm like, "Well, Grandpa, they're already driving around. But if things become legal, then there's a way of people respecting each other and going, you know what? It's legal for me to smoke now, but let's try not to be all stoned as shit while we drive around."
You mean people would have exposure to that lifestyle to the degree that they would then be able to assess what's safe driving and not safe driving?
And then there's actually ways to say, now instead of the cop being like, "Oh, marijuana, and I'm going to throw you in jail," instead there's like, okay, there's intoxication, but instead of you getting in trouble for the marijuana, you're in trouble for the intoxication.
How did you resolve this difference with your grandfather?
It's fascinating.
So how did you do
I
it?
stopped him in his bullshit, and my grandma was sitting right there, and I got up and marched into their bedroom and grabbed a handful of drugs. Like, all of them. Like, heavy narcotics.
Don't incriminate yourself,
There's
Abram.
no incrimination.
Okay, so you handed and you showed him, and then
There's
what?
no incrimination here.
Okay.
Marijuana's legal.
Right. So you
We're talking about the legalization of marijuana.
Okay.
He's giving me bullshit about
Yeah.
what he believes is going to be like a problem.
Okay.
How it's
so you show him this.
Well, I walked and I grabbed his legal prescribed drugs.
Okay. Now I hear you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, his legal prescribed drugs with his name on it and her name on it, and I grabbed him and I went down and I sat down and I was like, "Grandpa, these will kill you. And these are addictive. And if you take too much of them and you mix them the wrong way, you can die." And I pulled for the first time, I pulled a bag of weed right out of my pocket and I didn't slam it.
Did this convince him though to?
And he goes, "Warrior, got a point." And it was like,
what was your point exactly?
the point was, the pot isn't harmful, and there's helpful in a lot of ways, and moderation in all things. That's what I told him too.
Okay.
But if you're going to abuse substances, it can cause harm. But this pot, I can smoke all of it. I can smoke 10 times as much as it, or consume it. And the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm either going to eat all the snacks or I'm going to pass out. But I was like, but these drugs who are legally prescribed to you, Grandpa, will kill you if you take too much. And he goes, "Wow, you got a point." It was a breakthrough.
I love that example.
It was
Wouldn't you say?
It changed his mind.
Wouldn't you say though that in that example, you were appealing to what was true?
I was appealing to what was true.
You were using evidence and juxtaposing two scenarios and how there was dissonance in his thought process, and you showed him why his standards for one thing wasn't fair or across the board to other things. And we have to, hopefully we rewarded him from coming over with praise and saying thank you for changing your mind. It
was incredible.
It was a good thing, yeah.
I mean,
here's the thing though,
from the
30s.
So
believing something that is false is okay if it brings you comfort. So if he valued, it seemed your grandfather valued what was true after you brought forward evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it if he just carried on and said, "Well, it makes me comfortable"? Can you imagine that being the barrier? No, can you imagine that being a barrier of never resolving a dispute?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be. And I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen those barriers because you're just like this. You just can't get through to some people.
So this may be a little bit of a sensitive question, but do you want to believe things that are false
No.
if they bring you comfort?
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
No way.
How about this? If you found you had no reason to believe a thing is true,
Mm-hmm.
would you discard it even though it brought you comfort?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I have, and I
Would
have
you-
reasons.
Would you like to shift then on this one?
Maybe, because now I'm understanding the question.
Yeah. Only because we did an outsider experiment with other people and how to reach them.
15?
Number 15.
Believing something that is false is okay
It's a hard one.
if it gives you comfort.
It's a really hard one.
So I would say, okay. So I would shift it 2 notches over.
2 notches over. You want to mark it?
I would shift that
Yeah.
actually to there.
Perfect.
But I'm not. It's not 100% because there
It's-
is.
Slightly disagree.
Yeah, I would shift it there, and it's because there's so
There's
many
a
ways
few
of looking
things.
at it.
There's a few
Mhm.
things that you might want to continue to believe in.
Well, because there's things that aren't really that big a deal that you can believe in.
Some
It gives
things
you-
that are inconsequential.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Just
they,
to hark back on
they're a really big deal to some people.
Just to hark back to number 6, strong belief, even without action, can change external reality. Remember how we broke that down in so many different ways?
Mm-hmm.
If we have an idea in our head, it's still acting on other ideas in ways we don't understand, right?
Yep.
You would agree? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to number 16, unless you have any other questions about that or anything else to say about it.
This is thorough.
Is this fun or what?
It is,
It's
absolutely.
it's kind of intense though. It can be
No, it's really intense,
yeah.
and I can see how it can
Some people
incite people to being upset and
Yeah.
not being able to.
if it's
continue.
not done right or respectfully, and I haven't been the best in the past at doing that, but being that you're
This is a learning
probably one of
process.
my best friends in the world, this is why it's
Yeah.
working well.
Yeah.
So or why I'm able to reach you or communicate well.
Sure. Only mutual respect matters, and if they're having respect issues,
Yeah.
or maybe I totally don't know you at all, so therefore I'm not going to respect you because I don't know you, then you can then choose to be.
It's harder
Jerk.
with people I don't know, and I have done it with people I don't know because I would sit down at Soak and Burning Man and Shift, all these different
Sure,
festivals,
sure.
and just do it at the festival for like 5 or 15 minutes. This is a long form interview, but I often do short interviews too.
Well, I can see short ones being more triggering.
They're like, they don't really change someone all that much, but they put a little pebble in their shoe so that way they walk around with this little annoyance for a while and they're not sure what to think about their idea. And and then they usually remember me and they come back and they want to talk about it again.
Yeah.
This is all at once though. You're getting the long treatment all in one day. So let's move on to the next one. I give all claims, number 16, I give all claims the benefit of the doubt when I first encounter them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 3 claims. And just like the scale here, where 0 is ignorance,
Mhm.
1 is all doubt, all questions, I don't hold the belief, and 100 is all answers. I am closed-minded to being wrong. I'm going to say 3 claims.
Okay.
Now, you know me in real life. These are not hypotheticals. These are real. I'm going to say them, and I would like you to judge me on a scale. I own a car.
I know that for a fact.
Okay, so where are you on the scale?
That's 100%.
Okay, it's about as 100 as you can be.
Well, I mean,
You've been in the car.
I'm actually not going to say 100% because I don't really know
Perfect.
if you own the car.
Solipsism. You could be a brain in a vat.
Well, no.
You could.
That's
Anything
true.
could be.
No, but
Anything could
what
be
I-
true.
What I mean by that though is you might have it co-signed, or you actually still owe the bank.
Okay.
Or
what is your
or
confidence
maybe
though? That we can go through all that. but
I'm confident that
What's
you're
the
making
number?
payments on it.
What's the number?
90.
Great.
Very high.
Nice.
It's just what you own the car.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Totally.
it's
Yeah,
bullshit.
we don't need to go that much. So the next claim is I have a second car.
I'm You,
I own a second car.
I have that's just a 1% because I'm only taking your word for it. So now I'm not ignorant, but I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, you. So 1 to me.
Do you?
So 1 to me would mean I couldn't possibly doubt it anymore. So 1 means like you don't, or not necessarily positively. You just 1 means, to me, you couldn't doubt it anymore. You couldn't possibly doubt it anymore. You don't think it's the case.
If you just say you have a car, and then a second car, then
A second car.
sure. But I don't know because I've never seen it.
Totally. So this is why
The
it's
scale
tough.
thing is still messing me up. I know.
This is why this is an exercise on the scale, and I think the scale's super important though. So take your time, but it sounds like it's not 90, right? And it sounds like it might not even be 1 because it's quite plausible that I have another.
It's plausible you have another car, but only because you just
So is
said
it
that.
somewhere else on that spectrum? Where
Apparently
else?
it's in the middle.
Okay.
Because I can take your word for it, but I don't really know.
What number just would you give
40,
it? Great.
60?
Yeah.
It's
totally.
right there in the middle. 'Cause
Perfect.
I don't know for sure, but now I'm not ignorant.
Totally.
But I'm only taking your word for
Yeah,
it.
but you have
I've
reason
seen that car.
You
out
have
there.
reason to doubt that I have a second one only
I have
because
reason to doubt because I've never seen it.
Yeah. But it's also not outside of the realm of possibility because
Totally.
people have second cars all the time. So.
I had 2 cars until an hour ago.
Okay. Third claim. I have a second car, and it's invisible.
So 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 0 would be ignorance of the claim. You've never heard it.
Okay.
So you've heard it.
You don't. I don't. Still don't understand the scale.
So it'd be 1
it's a 1.
or 2.
Okay, now I'm starting to understand. But
You're starting to
it's like
understand
a
the
1. It's a 1. Yeah. You could have an invisible car in your mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And only because and this is the reason why I think the scale works this way is because before I say invisible car, I mean, did that even cross your mind that I would say that? Probably not, right? And as soon as you hear it, your mind is evaluating the truth of it, right? Can a car be invisible? And then it's
no.
like no,
No.
and because it's no, it's low on the
I
scale.
saw you
and now
though.
all
I saw
have are
you though in a
questions.
car driving down the road.
Just like Wonder Woman.
Just like
Just like Wonder Woman fly, yeah, just like me. You see me, but you don't see the car. Totally. Okay, so going back to the number 16. I give all claims the benefit of the doubt when I first encounter them.
yeah. I mean, benefit of the doubt. Mostly.
All claims, though?
I guess no. But
Alright.
most.
Yeah. Okay.
And even
So
really,
some claims-
really, whoa, pie in the sky. I'm like whoa, but
So some claims you would just accept because you either have great evidence or because it's not outside of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
And some you would dismiss out of hand because they're outstanding and or impossible to your own personal experience. It sounds like.
Sure. I mean, maybe in another universe you could have an invisible car, but in this one that I'm witnessing, you definitely, I don't believe, have an invisible car.
Right. So you can have a gut, just like a knee-jerk reaction that's based off of how your worldview about reality works right now. And that worldview of how reality works places you somewhere on a spectrum of confidence about everything when you first hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And you judge it based off of the principles of what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's number 16.
Okay.
And go ahead and mark where you want to be.
Must mark it to 16. Okay. I give all claims the benefit of the doubt.
All claims.
So now that we're talking about all, it does go down a lot. I do. No, I don't know. For sure.
It sounds like you give some, but
Some.
not all.
Some, not all.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go to right on there.
Yeah, neutral.
Well, it's on the more of the disagree side now.
A little more on the
A
distance.
little bit more, but very neutral.
Okay.
Because it's.
I feel like we.
Well, when you're looking at these things, you look at the whole sentence, but then when you break it down, you can.
Yeah.
Shift your thoughts. So like I circled all, and now I'm like, oh, we're moving it that way.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on. This is the hardest one in the survey. You ready? Someone is justified in their beliefs until they're proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean...
So, let's go over justified again one more time.
You saw me...
Yeah, because you made a connection there.
I know.
This is the sticking word, and it's the thing that's... It's constantly one of the hardest sticking words, but I feel like it's necessary in this word, in the sentence. Someone is justified, meaning they are marked by good and appropriate and legitimate reasons to be holding their belief. Mm-hmm. So someone is justified in their beliefs up until the moment they are proven wrong about it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean,
imagine belief X. So this is why it's hard. This is abstract.
I'm neutrally agreeing with that.
So imagine something. Okay, maybe I'll need to do this instead first. Imagine belief X is not true, and someone's believing in belief X. But the reason that they're using to believe in belief X is number 17 here. That someone is justified. They have good reason to think belief X is true because there's no way to show that it's not there or not true. So it could be, let's think, can you name something that is true false, like a fact claim? True false that isn't true? Like, so we have these three, but let's pick something even more doubtful, like flat earth or mermaids or leprechauns or something. It doesn't really matter, but can you name something like that you want to say is belief X, which isn't true? Is there something that you think just is not the case?
That's like a popular belief of some sort? Or that actually is a belief?
It doesn't matter how popular it is.
Just something fantasy?
Sure. Something that you don't think is the case. That's really simple. True, false.
I mean, I'm just drawing a blank.
Leprechauns, mermaids.
That's the thing. Is like now I can only.
How about mermaids?
Now I can only think of the ones that you just cited. So.
Okay, cool. So we'll just go with those. Let's say someone out there believes in mermaids.
Someone does.
Okay. Sure. And their reason for believing that there are mermaids is that you can't show that there are no mermaids.
Yeah, I mean,
is that person? So this isn't about. I guess this question isn't necessarily about whether they're justified just yet. I'm wondering, can you imagine them being stuck believing it's the case?
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Forever, doomed forever to believe that it's the case because it's not in a defined place and there's nowhere to look.
I can see them being justified in their...
Would they be justified in thinking that it is true?
I mean, if they want to.
We would tolerate their belief. The question is, do we accept it?
I would accept it.
So, in other words, is it true? Is it a good reason to believe a thing is true?
Not really.
No.
Yeah, no, believing something just because there's an absence of the facts doesn't make it true. It just makes it possible. But believing in it wholeheartedly...
Yeah, there's a difference between our knowledge and the truth, for sure. However, if there is no way to show it's not there, is it possible it's not there? We'll never find out it's not there?
Awesome.
If it isn't there, are we stuck forever believing it's the case?
I don't know.
You don't know? Would there be anything that we could find out to make us no longer believe it? If we were
eventually we're going to be able to map the oceans more thoroughly and actually have evidence that there isn't underwater civilizations of mer people for sure. But right now,
how much of the ocean would you need to explore
most of it? We've only measured like a fraction of a fraction. You know. So
let's say somebody out there believes there are mermaids. However, the only reason that they believe it's the case is because there's no way to show the absence of mermaids.
Well, that seems like
how much of the ocean would you need to scan and study before you rejected this person's reason to be believing in it? How much of the ocean would you need to see?
Well, it would all of it
all of it.
So
you would need to know everything about all of the ocean
for them to be proved otherwise. For me, no.
Is that acceptable?
Not really.
Okay. I would agree.
What's the question all over again?
The statement is someone is justified in their beliefs until they're proven wrong. So let me put it like this. This is another way. So this is the reason why this one's hard is because all the rest of them were about how to believe in a thing, and this is about how to doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do we properly apply doubt to beliefs? So
sure. Because I'm doubting all things.
Totally.
And even I doubt things that we feel have been proven factual, scientifically and otherwise. I still doubt that. Like I'm a huge skeptic on many things that are very proven,
skeptical.
Very proven.
Yeah.
Because I look at the history of science in the last 10 years, but especially the last 200, and we keep changing history. We keep changing how we see our micro-universe, and also how we see all the galaxies in our outer universe expanding, and the way we see that, and the span, the size, the scope. So these things keep changing. So I'm going to stay skeptical and feel justified in my skepticism.
Yeah, I guess so. The thing that's interesting about number 17, if we took number 17 to its furthest extreme, to me what it's basically saying is, and this is what the statement is, someone is justified in their beliefs until they're proven wrong. So
so now I really want to move that down to mostly.
So this
disagree.
is
Now I really want to move it.
This will be my last
disagree.
Question about it. If this principle is true, and we would agree, does it mean that everything is true by default until we find out it's not true?
Kind of.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Do you think that's the way we should be thinking about anything we think?
Mostly.
So things are true by default until we find out it's not true?
Things are false by default until we find if they're true.
That's skepticism, yeah. That's skepticism to me, in a nutshell, would be things are false.
I guess it's a pendulum.
Until they're proven to be true. Do we withhold our confidence until there's reason to believe in it?
For sure.
Okay. So I think that you and I probably agree for the same reason. You want to mark yourself?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm, like I said a second ago, I feel...
That's the hardest one. That's the hardest one on the survey.
See, when I connected the justified, it made me see this in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm an innocent, I see things innocently, and I see the good in people generally right away. I see someone's light, but then people make bad behaviors, and then they get to be put into the shit box. Yeah. So I give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. But yeah, but I'm still not like all the way over, because there's a lot to be said about this question. But it's definitely now more neutral disagree, for sure.
Is there any one thing? So, actually, I'll make it a question. What is the one thing that's keeping you from strongly disagree?
Because I think there's innocent things that don't really hurt people, that people believe in, and I think
so believing in something that is false is okay if it brings you comfort? Okay.
Of course.
So even if it's not true, it's okay to believe it?
If it brings you comfort, or if it at least gives you... Because the thing is, it's
not
like it's false, but it gives you hope.
Can you do me a favor and read? And so slow your roll for a sec. What I want you to do is read number 17.
Someone is justified in their beliefs.
Quietly to yourself. Read number 17, then number 16, and then number 6.
Okay. Question.
Oh, sorry. Number 17, number 15, and number 6.
Okay.
Okay, and read them in that order.
Disagree. 6. Okay, what are you trying to have me understand? Because there's a lot that I feel is true when it comes to the power of human thought. Just thought. And so that ties into the ethereal, spiritual, conscious realm to me and a lot of people. So I think there is power in it. Yet it's not really able to be proven. But I have seen it work in my life.
If a thing works, is that the thing that makes it true?
It is evidence to me. So maybe
a thing working in your life could be evidence.
Well, like just changing my thought process.
Changing your thought.
I have seen it change me in my life and others around me.
If a thing that you think brings you benefit in life, that's more reason to hold the idea.
Like comfort or whatever.
Number 15, I think.
There it is. Like brings me comfort. Yeah. So someone justified in their beliefs, it brings them comfort. And their strong belief, even without action, changes their strong reality. But strong belief is, in my opinion, an action.
Okay, right. So remember how we broke down number 6? It was what idea could we have in our head that doesn't affect the way we act or behave, right? And if a thing is false and we can't reach a person because they're believing in a thing that's comfortable, is it possible that we have things in our mind that we're unaware of that make us unreachable?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We have things in our mind that we're unaware of. We have things that we like subconsciously think.
If we've discovered we had things in our head that made us unreachable, would we want to discard those ideas?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. The thing is, if you're unreachable, then you're not really thinking about it. You're not reachable.
Well,
so when you're finally reached,
it's possible to be convinced for good reason in something false. That's possible.
That happens all the time.
If we found out though that our reasons weren't good, we would want to get rid of the idea, right? Oh, yeah. So that we could be reachable, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And that's how I see those 3 interlinking there.
Yeah, they do, and it's a good way to putting it. I like that.
Okay, me too. Cool, man. This is the last one because we already kind of went over the last 6 or whatever, but number 18. The most important criteria for my beliefs is that they match reality. And if we are strong agree to number 1, truth is that which best matches external reality. Another way of phrasing this is the most important criteria for my beliefs is that they are true. Would you agree?
Yeah. The most important criteria for my beliefs is that they are true. Yeah, I mean, to me, yes. Yes, and that's why I said, did I move that the other way?
You moved one notch over while we were sitting in silence for dinner. Do you want to...
Now let's think about it again. The most important criteria for my beliefs is that they match my reality.
Not your reality.
Match
so
match
reality. Number 2, we focused on reality on that one to be the game. The game that you and I are both playing. Physics and our environment rolled into one.
Match reality. And now I don't even know why I moved it that way in silence. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I did want to move it in silence. So the most important criteria for my belief...
Do you want to believe in true things?
Well, yeah, of course I want to believe in true things.
Is the most important criteria for the state of your mind to be aware of true things and be aware of things that are most likely not the case?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, would you strongly agree then?
So now we're moving that to agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who knows what was going through my head at that moment and the way I was even reading it.
That's okay.
Because I probably was still stuck on justified.
Yeah.
And it was probably making me...
You want to mark it?
A certain way. I'm going like here now for sure.
Perfect.
So that was the second one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
So what? I want to take a break really quick and just talk about our minds for a sec. I find this to be really earth-shattering for a lot of people when they're done with the survey, and you'll go home thinking about a lot of stuff. And if you have any reason to be moving, because I'm going to give you this paper to take home, and if there's any reason to be somewhere else on this scale for any one of these things, that's what we're going to talk about if you want the next time we talk.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you'll come up with like a ton of things that you wish you had said or whatever. And then
Well, I definitely have said I didn't say anything that I wish I didn't say.
that's good. I think same goes for me, which is great because I've had to throw away great interviews because of some BS I brought up in the middle, and I'm like, damn it, why did I have to open my mouth? I should have just stuck to questions.
This isn't about your beliefs, kind of. I mean,
yeah,
it is.
I'm trying to make it look like the opposite of preaching. Kind of just like asking questions.
You definitely don't want to come across that way.
Right.
Because that's not going to help people open their mind.
Right. Well, preaching would be telling people what to think.
Yeah.
Do you... yeah. And am I doing that?
No.
Okay. Great. Awesome. That's the goal. To change minds and to shift, or not even just change, but maybe just provide an environment for which we can reflect on our own thoughts.
That's a good way.
In a way that looks... neutral as much as I can. I'm a biased person. Everyone's biased. But the idea is that the interviewer is trying to pull themselves out of the bias and just seek the path that one used to obtain their confidence and their conclusions. So that's that portion. And the last portion we can start right now, and it won't take too terribly long. But did you need to take a break?
No.
Are you sure? You don't want some more tea?
You need a break, it sounds like?
I don't ever need a break.
Huh?
But do I need a break?
No, let's keep going.
Let me get some water. I'll get some water. And then I'll be right back. Just stay right there. And then I'm going to go to the...
Okay. Eat these Tums because that pizza pocket. Ugh.
Can I throw out a hypothetical?
For sure.
If you had a box of truth that you could, kind of like Pandora's box, except for without unforeseen consequences, really, I suppose, because we would know what the consequences are, or we would like to think we know. But if we open this box of truth to answer this question about Mormonism or a higher power, I guess Mormonism, let's just stick with that for now. Would you want to give that box, and you could open it and it would just give you the answer. And one of those answers includes potentially that it's not there at all. The whole point though is that the box does give you the truth. And it pushes you in the correct direction. Would you yourself want to look into it?
For sure.
Okay. Would you want to give that box to your family?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I'm ready to actually stand up.
So let me ask really
and
quick.
say some things that I've never said before to my family.
Okay.
Which I've never said. I've always kept it to myself for years.
Okay. Yeah, that's my hourglass.
Oh, it goes opposite.
Yeah, it's an upside down hourglass.
Oh,
Wait, hold on. Bring it here. Let's put it right here.
It's an upside down hourglass.
It sure is. Okay.
That's cool.
So I've got 7 minutes. 7 minutes is on that, I think.
Okay.
So, are you comfortable if I ask you questions about a higher power?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, baby. That's what I like. All right.
The thing is, I don't even know, too, and it keeps. So I'm down.
Do you remember the
to dig into
scale and when we brought up open-mindedness?
Yeah.
And sliding. So, the first question is, what got you to 80? What reason do you have to be at an 80? And think about the reason you were at a 90 for my car. Okay.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'm not at 80 or at 90.
Actually, do you want to reevaluate the number now that we talked about the scale a bunch? No? It's still an 80?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So why are you at an 80?
Because how I see the order of the universe down to the microverse, to the truth that we are conscious beings, the connection we have to each other and to the animals and the nature that we have, nature. I've had
Animals have interrelations.
and so the thing is, we are getting to a point now as just humans, just lowly humans, to create incredible things. And creation, which we have a gift for, I believe, comes from source, from creation. to think that this is just
So
a
that-
happenstance poof.
So that's your
me,
conclusion,
it's
and
my
I already
conclusion.
know your conclusion.
So
I would like to know the way.
The way
You got to
I had
be-
I had a psychedelic experience, which I understood is induced. Yet I had an experience that shook me and changed me forever. And when it was whispered into my ear, when I had fallen down, if I wanted to live, and I answered back yes, and I screamed and pleaded yes for life. And when I got to the point where it all came to center, I got smacked in the head by the brightest gleaming light that showed me that I have purpose in this life. It convinced me that I'm a good person, and that I know that we're all in this together. Now, did I see God? No. But am I convinced that there's something more going on here because of my brainwashing schema growing up, and then that being reinforced by his having some experiences? Yeah. And then I see all the other things that are good in his life that to me is evidence that there is design in some way. And so I'm holding on to my belief. But it seems to me all these things don't just seem to be a random... So I admit that it's belief, that it is hope, that that's conscious faith.
And faith we defined earlier as belief in something
Hope.
not seen.
Yeah, hope and belief in something that's not seen. So
Hope and belief.
I...
Can someone hope something is true and it not be true?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Lots of things.
Is it possible for somebody to have an experience and attribute that experience to something, to misattribute that experience?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Can you give
I
me?
consider that.
Can you give me your own? So think of something that you think somebody is misattributing an experience. Anything?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Let's say somebody's praying to some god, like, I don't know, maybe either Vishnu or Allah, or some very particular god, and they're having an experience. Let's say they're speaking in tongues or something. They're so overwhelmed by this experience that they then attribute that experience to their conclusion, the one that brings them comfort, maybe even. Is it possible for them to be misattributing the conclusion?
Of course. I mean, there's like a lot of things, of course. And we're discovering now that a lot of these experiences that aren't even...
Sorry to interrupt, but are personal experiences a reliable way to know something with 80% confidence?
Not to anybody else, but to as a personal, yes.
What's the reason we're at 80?
Feelings.
Feelings?
You know, we talked about that.
Yeah, we both disagree.
But
Feelings are not a reliable way to discover truth.
no, not at all.
At least for factual truth. True or false claims. Would you say that God is a true or false thing?
No.
Okay. Can God both exist and not exist at the same time?
Yep.
Can you tell me anything else that does that?
I'm not sure. Karma.
Karma?
Could not
Is
exist. Could exist.
Well, the question isn't could exist, could not. The question is, can it both exist and not exist?
Yes.
How does that work?
How does it work? I don't know how it works, but I can see that it could work and it cannot work. It's in.
Is there anything else that does that we can know?
I don't know. Let's see. I mean, maybe if we looked in that belief list that you have, that's a very good reference. Let's see. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Well, let's move on to a different line of questioning. We're at 80 here. What would move you up in confidence to believe even more that it's true?
What would move you up?
Yeah.
Well, more experiences or some type of actual, like, magical, divine experience, like
something,
thing.
Some evidence,
Yeah.
or some more personal
Some, like,
experiences.
boom. Yeah, sure, I think so.
Okay. But personal experiences, are they reliable to know true things? True, false
I
things?
think there are true, false things that are applicable on a personal level, on an individual level, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that, like, okay, then I'm going to, like, try to convince you of anything whatsoever.
So the questions are designed for me to believe what you believe, to draw you over.
Sure.
We'll flip it over one more time.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with my line of questioning? I don't want to push you in a place you don't want to go.
You can't.
Good. I know, because we love each other.
No, it's not. No, I could not like you, and you wouldn't push me to a place. I
okay. Yeah. You have that strength within you, I think.
Absolutely.
You're strong.
I mean, man. I mean, I went on a 2-year Mormon mission, and I was challenged. And I'm talking about a bunch of stuff that I don't really necessarily believe in, because I was just a young kid that was just brainwashed and thrown out there into the world to preach Jesus. And so I've already gone through the fire of all this, the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had all these new experiences in life and knowledge, and connecting on friends and family and other people with all these different types of belief systems, and I've just continued to glean from them and accept them and allow it to be. It is possible. We don't have the understanding. We are mortal. We are temporal. How then can we possibly understand eternity?
You're comfortable with saying you don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, we are temporary, physical beings that are conscious, and we do not understand consciousness really.
So do we come up with answers?
We're working on it, but that's going to be an eternal question.
Should we ever conclude something if the most honest position is to say I don't know?
It's not a conclusion to say you don't know. It's just you
correct.
Don't know.
Would you say if you say I don't know, isn't that just being open to information and waiting for reliable information? You'd be waiting for a justifiable answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not rushing in to say a conclusion, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you are comfortable saying you don't know. What if you were to say you don't know, where would you be on the scale for a higher power? If somebody said they didn't know, where do you think they would be?
On that scale,
Yeah.
it would be in the middle.
In the middle?
If you don't know. Because I'm not saying ignorance, and I'm not saying 100% knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that I have personal, do
you know for sure?
I
don't have an invisible car?
I don't know for sure. You might have an invisible car.
Okay. And we marked that as 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But to me, though, like...
That's because Okay, so I'll put it like this. If somebody came up here and they said that these were even...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. If somebody said that those were even... An even number of candies in there.
Yeah.
You figured it out.
It'd be
where
weird.
would you be on the scale of confidence? Let's say this person had not counted them at all, and let's say this is forever sealed. We can't count them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's saying that they're even.
It'd be a 50% chance.
Yeah, it's like it's 50-50. It could be, couldn't be. However, do you think he has any reliable information outside of chance if we know for sure he hasn't counted them?
No, it's just chance.
Right. So where are you on the scale that they are positively even?
50.
Well,
now I have evidence.
50 would... So this is why it's confusing, because it's 50-50. Imagine, so if you don't know whether they're even or odd, the claim is that they're even, right? Not that they are even or odd, right? Because then that would make 50
would be 50,
the most reasonable place to be, right?
The claim is that they're even.
If odd was on one side and even was on the other, then 50 would be in the middle. But if we just took out odd and the claim was that they were even.
Okay, there's a way of speaking. There's a way of thinking about this.
We're working with language.
I know, but
here.
there's another way of thinking about this. And I remember, I think we talked about it once too.
We did. We did. I've done this with you before. But I didn't do it quite like this.
Yeah.
So if, and it was a long time ago. But if you don't think that this person has any reason to think that they are even, does that mean that you necessarily think that they are odd?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, you just don't have any reason to think one way or the other. If you don't have any reason one way or the other is the best for the claim that they're even, doesn't that put you lower on the scale? Like a 1 or a 2? Okay. And the reason why that is, well, can you tell me why that is? Because the burden is on that one claim, right? That it's even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If a higher power is the claim, isn't that kind of like saying that they're even?
It's kind of like saying that they're even.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. You know, it's just you get to the point of these claims where it's hard to define truth. It's hard to define.
That's what this whole workshop's about.
Yeah, it's hard. And
if you were to discover,
talk about, like, I don't believe in an omnipotent God that's like...
Yeah, it doesn't need to be real specific.
There's no specific. I don't believe that. But because when I went through a lot of dark times years ago in my 20s and I was heartbroken and depressed and started dabbling and damaging myself through alcohol and drugs, I went deep and dark and I got in denial and I was angry and I pleaded for help or guidance in some way and I got none. Because all that's really, we're left open to ourselves here. And I believe in that. But it changed me from this, like, okay, God, to God has nothing to do with it. But an omnipresent source that really could even be within yourself. I'm just saying that there is a chance that we're eternal consciousnesses that
leads me to my last
longer than this mortal existence. But what really happens and what's really going on, and if there's something in charge, was there a source or creator, and where does this creation come from within us? Because where does it come from when we are in creative mode and we're painting something beautiful, or I'm writing a song on the guitar? Where is this really coming from? Where is this vibration? All this vibration through the universe is something, and I hold to the hope that
creativity.
Yes.
Okay.
So creativity.
Where is the creativity coming from?
Where is creativity coming from?
Is there, if we don't know, should we come up with conclusions about it?
No.
Okay.
But where does it come from? That's a question.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's a real thing to look at.
Evidence?
And it's evidence. It is evidence to me that there is creation and design and all this math and vibration that has made us and allows us to communicate in a conscious way. Because our consciousnesses are connecting through words, translating into symbols and ideas. Where does this come from and why? These are real questions, and we cannot prove it
if
really
we don't know.
Yet with
if we don't know, is it really evidence?
No, we don't. Really, but no, there is evidence. Yes, if we. Okay, what?
If we don't know the answers to these questions, can we use these questions as evidence?
It's not evidence per se, but it is It is evidence that we're conscious.
Is consciousness evidence?
What is consciousness?
If we don't know, does that make it evidence?
I mean, to me, it's evidence.
Why?
Because we're speaking now and talking about these concepts.
I understand.
I think, therefore I am.
It's very mysterious.
It's the mysteries.
Is a mystery evidence?
No.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
What my next question would be, how about this?
Sure.
Taking it a little bit of a different direction.
Sure.
So we figured out what got us to 80 and what we would need to see to move us up to a 90. What would move us down? In confidence. To be open-minded to this idea.
Well, even if aliens came down and were like, we created you, it's still where the aliens come from. And where did all
What
this come
criteria?
from?
So remember earlier we were talking about
It almost
the
would
criteria.
make, so then I'd be like, wow, now I'm going to 90 for our creation being, our creators being physically a more advanced civilization. But even then, it would open the more box that there is.
So let me
even
rephrase the
bigger
question. I don't know if
creation.
it landed with you the way I intended it to.
Sure.
So the way I'm intending the question to land is, remember earlier we were talking about somebody who believed a thing? I think, I can't remember exactly what the example was,
Yeah.
but I think it was something like somebody thought that all people with marijuana possession should be incarcerated for life or something like that, right? But they didn't have criteria to slide them down the scale in confidence. If they were at a number but didn't know what they would need to see to believe the opposite, would that person be open-minded?
Would they be open-minded?
Yeah.
If, sure. I'm not following again. Sorry.
If they don't know how to slide
Getting
down
tired.
the scale.
Getting tired.
Sure, yeah. And we've been at this for a while. But
This is challenging stuff.
It's really, really hard. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm going to call it anyway pretty soon. Well, I guess we have more time than I thought I would. But if
But let's wrap things up because I need to go. I need to drive.
Yeah, you've got
for
things
20
to
minutes, and then I need to drive for 20 minutes.
do. What would
and
slide you down the
dinner.
scale?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have
Are
been
you-
touched by something, and I can't explain it.
Okay.
Okay, I can't explain it,
Yeah.
and I don't need to explain it.
Yeah.
But I have been.
Yeah.
I know, believe. I know that something's going on, and
Yeah.
I can't explain it. And it's not, and it doesn't bring me comfort. It doesn't make me a better person. But it shows me that we are all brothers and sisters.
Is it possible we're still
Genetically,
all brothers
for
and
sure.
sisters? And there's not is it possible for that all to be
You
true and
didn't-
for there not to be a higher power?
So what I was about to say is it shows me that we're all brothers and sisters genetically, for sure. And it shows me that there's a chance that even down to the animals, that we're all connected spiritually.
Okay.
And that there is some greatness going on in this universe that we still cannot fathom. And that's okay for now. Because the universe is beyond our comprehension in time and space. And galaxies flying away from us faster than the speed of light. It's incredible. So what's going on out there in that endless countless stars, and there is something going on here, and there is a great chance that this is an eternal round and experience.
There's a lot we don't know.
And so, therefore, I'm not going to discount it. And then, because
Do we accept things as true? Number 17, someone is justified in their beliefs until they're proven wrong. Are we justified in saying that something is the case until we show it not to be the case?
I think I'm tired.
Yeah, okay. You stuck with me really good, and I love you and this whole workshop. But yeah. So I'm gonna take a photo of this, and then.
But let's continue this. Let's continue this on a personal level. Let's continue this on on this.
Yeah.
Let's keep this up. But also, I really want to dig into a lot of these things more.
Do you have any questions for me? Because I don't want to just leave you feeling like all the power was over here.
There's no. Obviously, there isn't. I mean, come on, man. I've been holding. I'm holding. Yeah.
You probably know my position on a lot of stuff already.
I do, and so I don't really need to ask. So if I didn't know you, you'd be like, what do you think? And what do you think? What do you think? But no, I know who you are and what you believe, and I absolutely respect and accept that wholeheartedly. And it makes why isn't it painting a picture?
I don't know why.
But it makes a lot of things, when it comes to like reality, like tangible truth and knowledge. Like you are more rational than I am.
Well,
I believe that you're. I mean, because of just the way you view the universe.
I just haven't. We probably just have. So this is epistemology. We probably just have different epistemologies. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. And the whole process is not to tell anyone that they're wrong. It's to understand them.
Yeah. Well, I think this is helping understand yourself.
Oh, totally. But it's mutually beneficial. It's for my benefit as much as it is for yours.
Well, I see this as a lot for your benefit. You're on some kind of project, and I don't quite understand it, but I really support you.
Thank you. I really, I support all your projects.
I want you to discover a lot. I want you to see that there is hope in the unseen and unknown.
Okay.
And that's...
If the unseen and the unknown can reliably show me things that are true so that I can better connect with other people, so that I can better resolve disputes, and so that I can better have the most important criteria of my mind to match reality, then absolutely.
And sometimes it helps people match reality, or at least have some way of seeing that. I mean, it's just overwhelming. The more we discover about the vastness of eternity, like time and space, it is more overwhelming now that we're actually figuring it out. So it's like, wow, there is something going on here. What could this possibly be? Where did we come from? Where did this consciousness come from before I was born? Did I exist? Why am I here? Yeah. What is my purpose? And if I die, when I die, am I going to get put back into another mortal existence, or am I going to just be this? Is it going to be gone in the blackness?
Yeah, these are huge questions.
Am I going to exist for eternity as some spirit, or does my soul possibly get reunited with my body in resurrection through the power of Jesus Christ? Is Allah really going to give us virgins, or are we going to continue to advance and be higher and higher and higher beings in this universal time-space continuum? If it's going to give you some type of hope, and if it's going to make you a better person in this life, then so be it.
Okay.
Because what really matters is if you're good and a giving, gracious human being now. And many people on this earth need that. Because if there's no hope, then what's the fucking point? Fuck you and I'll kill you. It doesn't matter. I'm going to steal from you. Or sometimes these things bring people together to help each other out. And now we are discovering our community, like with, for example, Burning Man. It's a big, giant kind of religious kind of thing in a way, even though it's not religious. But it's a fellowship. It's a group of people getting together to be altruistic and be artistic and be consensual and kind. And to me, doesn't matter about if there's a deity or not. What matters is we're getting together as a big group and being really cool to each other.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah, for sure. When we're
So we're bringing it on. We're spreading this truth.
Yeah,
we're spreading this light that we are good people,
yeah.
and I just want to be around those type of people, and I want to be artistic with my peers, and that's why we are really good friends, and that's why I'm going to go visit.
We're really good friends because we have we get along, and we have a lot of the same sense of humor and interests. And
yeah. But who gives a shit about like our eternal perspective? That doesn't really matter to me. I don't think it matters to you either. But a lot of people it really does.
Well,
it really matters to some
my
people.
number one hobby is asking people what they believe and why. So I think other people's ideas are very important to me.
They are, but some people can't take it. Some people cannot accept that you're a different Christian religion, let alone a different religion, period, or an atheist. Then they're just like, you're going to hell, or not, or that's just that stuff is very close-minded and ignorant, and I'm not going to participate in those types of discussions. But what I will say is, like I said a minute ago, and I repeat myself all the time, this universe is filled with limitless possibilities, and I am here to build bridges and be good and give more and give thanks. And that's a prayer.
That is where I agree.
And that's
I want to build bridges.
That's prayer. Give more, give thanks.
Actually,
it's an
me,
action. It's an action of goodness, and it's an action of thought. Which isn't. It's not. I'm not praying to God, but it is an action that counts. That people pray, but the action of giving more and giving thanks is something that will change your mind and your energy, and it'll take an action to bring more goodness. The law of attraction. Okay, these are things that I think that bring more abundance into our lives. Recognizing that we have abundance, that we're blessed, that we are fortunate to be in this country and have this clean water and have this beautiful home.
Yeah, it's good to be grateful.
We have to continue to verbally
and it's hard to be
stuff.
Grateful without externalizing that gratitude. It's hard. But
if you don't externalize that gratitude and you focus on these negative things, then you're going to...
Can't we just be grateful? Without having to externalize it to any other external idea, and just be grateful.
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
I agree.
That's me now. Yeah. Me and my practice is that I'm not ever. Well, I'm never going. God, hear my prayers.
I've never really seen you do that.
Well, no, but even when I had to do it because I was made to do it growing up, I was still just like going through the motions. Let's eat, Okay. And so but the act of expressing what is my passion, what is my truth, where is my path. I am grateful for my healthy body. I am grateful for my friends. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful to be an artistic person.
You can still be.
Thank you. I'm not necessarily saying thank God.
Yeah.
But I'm saying thank you, thanks.
Yeah.
And that brings me joy and comfort.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep spreading that kind of
message. You can do that. You can do that without concluding anything at all, right?
That's not a conclusion. It's just
a way of
appreciating. It just, to me, it shows interesting and parallels that these religions do that stuff. And they say it will bring you blessings from God when you do those things. So I think these ways of acting in speech in gratitude somehow were noticed that it brings more abundance in your life, and then it gets attached to the deity. And I think that's an interesting parallel. It's interesting that that's how it's unfolded, because a lot of these things that we believe in just came from sun worship and stuff from ancient religions, which is interesting now who are doing this. So I don't know. I cannot talk anymore. I am done.
No, that's cool. That's all awesome, man. Hey, I love you so much. Thanks. Yeah. So what I would like you to do is, we don't ever need to do this again because I love you. But if we want to do this again,
we will. We will
because we won't be able to help ourselves. Before you get
what I want to do is I think you're going to evolve here. I think you.
I already have.
I think you're going to.
I've changed my mind on a bunch of stuff by doing this.
Hear me out. I think you're going to evolve your system here.
Oh yeah. In a
clear way where it's your way. It's not this done. It's going to be yours because I think you can do better.
Yeah. I definitely have room to grow.
I know you're going to do better.
I make mistakes still, even in this process, and it's possible that I'm wrong about
I think you could have
every
a
single
thorough
one
version of it, that's even more detailed, and then I think you can do a quicker version, and I think you're going to understand.
I would like to
better.
do it quicker.
I think, and I think you'll understand.
The thing though is I like the slow going version of it because it's the best way to respect other people's ideas and how they go through reflecting their own thought process, and it helps me evaluate their thought process without it looking like I'm saying anything at all. Because I hardly made statements the last 4 hours.
Good for you.
These are just questions. So unless they're thought experiments, in which case they're statements, right? Yeah. Or unless I'm trying to bring up something in which we agree already, then they're statements. But generally it's the opposite of preaching, so think about these things, and then well, if you ever want to do it again, or maybe it's disturbing, or maybe it's like weird, I've got tons and tons and tons of resources for all sorts of stuff. So if you have any concerns about anything at all, fire me a question. Let me know. Okay. I'm available to you.
Rad.
Yeah, rad. Cool.
Oh my gosh. Old man syndrome. Dude, it's what's crazy. I'm losing all this weight.
That was cool, wasn't it?
That was really, really cool.
Is it?
Yeah, really cool.
Deep.
Yeah,
it's deep.
Deep. It's deep. Yeah, I can get why I can make some people just be like.
Some people,
I'm this way.
You're
not going to change my mind. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm trying to have you understand yourself.
I'm trying to bring myself to someone else's understanding. Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, back to
your thing. Do it.